Okay, so let's start. Um, well, we are about to continue our workshop on digital storytelling, and the passport to the globe was the topic we have picked for this month. We have been talking about the advantages of language learning and the doors that it opens for, for the learners. So let's just continue from where we were left on. Last time we have mostly discussed the brainstorming ideas process. So I asked you to come up with ideas and to find your main idea, your main focus for creating the story. I'm sure that most of you have done this job, and thank you for doing this good job. And today we will continue with digital storytelling. We'll take the next steps towards creating a digital story, emphasizing the advantages of language learning. So, first of all, if you have analyzed your goals and intentions and your main ideas, let's quickly discuss these questions because I'm sure that these questions will play an important role in shaping your main ideas. So, you are going to tell a story. It's not just a story, it's a digital story. So, it's a story with the help of images, background music, um, videos, and etc. So, first of all, what do you want to achieve by telling the story? I'm sure you have asked this question because I asked you to identify your goals, identify your aims of telling that story. So basically, if you have already done your homework, if you have identified your main idea, and if you have identified your goals and audience, you can tap it now to the chat and then we will discuss it later. Now, all of you ask yourself a question. What do I want to achieve by telling this story? So the goals for telling the story can be different. So some of you would like to encourage and motivate other learners to keep going. Some of you want to share your experience of language learning. Some of you want to help learners so that they will have some, let's say, experience to rely on. So whatever your goals of telling the story is, make sure that you have identified these goals because without identifying your goals of telling the story, it would be impossible to create a digital story. Once you have identified your goals, please think about your audience. Who must you reach to achieve these goals? So, who is the audience that you are targeting? Are you targeting your learners? Or is it the adult group? Or are you just addressing to everyone on the internet? Maybe you have specific target audience. So whatever your preference is, you have to identify your target audience. And based on this audience, you will be shaping your story. You will be focusing on their likes and dislikes. You will be taking into consideration their preferences. For example, if you are creating the story for young learners, most of the time um, you will have to simplify your language. You will have to use images and music and narrative that is suitable for their age restrictions and etc. If you're addressing a female group of audience, then you will have to set your story in a different way so that it will touch their feelings, it will give them emotions and etc. Again, it all depends on who you want to reach with this story. So, if you have identified your goals and if you have identified your audience, you can now share it with us in the chat. Ms. Bonoso has already identified her main goal. So, her goal is to share her experience learning English. So, she would like to, she would like to encourage other learners to keep going and she wants to tell her story of learning a language. So it's actually a very beautiful aim. I'm sure that, um, okay, today we are getting lots of new participants from, I don't know, India or Pakistan, maybe. I can see here Indian names, and I'm sorry, I'm not really able to identify. So I say hello to all. So can some of our new participants introduce themselves before we go? Okay, that's Arun, Arich, and we have Neetu, Siham. So hi there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have participants. I'm sorry, what country are you from?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
What country are you from?
India, India.
Oh, you're from India. Okay, great. So we say welcome to you, Arun. So I'm sure that you know what workshop it is. So in case you need extra information, that's the digital storytelling workshop organized by American Center Tashkent. So we are conducting this workshop online from Tashkent, Uzbekistan.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
But
can you please
all
tell
of a
about
sudden I
yourself?
got this info. Sorry?
Okay, so what is that? What is your background? What background do you come from? So most of our participants are English teachers. So
Yes,
what is it?
even myself. This is teacher of English.
Oh, okay, great. So you are a teacher of English. We say welcome to you. Okay,
Thank you.
so we're really happy to see you here. We have some more participants introducing themselves. We have Neetu Sharma from India. Okay, hello and welcome. Okay, and we have Arich. He's also from India, I think.
Hello.
Have
Hello.
participants from Indonesia, I think. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Aris. I'm from Libya.
Livia.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Wow. Actually, this workshop kind of intended to reach the audience in Uzbekistan, and I did not intend it to go this much worldwide. Well, we say welcome to you. Really happy
Thank
to
you.
see you here. So, Rich,
I
can
have,
you
I have
please tell us
trouble.
about
I
your
have trouble.
background? Sorry?
I have big trouble.
Oh, I see. Yes, you have connection problems, right? Okay, so can you please tell us about your background? Are you English teacher just like most of us, or do you come from different background? Okay, I think we lost you. Okay, so I'll be typing the questions here in the chat.
Actually, I'm not understand because my language is very, very bad.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So actually, we all have been there. And
Yeah.
this month, we are discussing the topic of the importance of language learning. So I'm sure that you have lots of things to say, right? Okay.
Okay.
All right. So welcome. Let's just continue. So in case you have missed our previous workshops, so we talk about basically the digital storytelling and how to incorporate digital storytelling in teaching because it's one of the most modern approaches in teaching. So when we tell our stories with the help of digital tools, it will create emotions, it will create empathy, and most of the students will enjoy their time. So that's why we are kind of propagating digital story use in English teaching mostly. So in our previous workshop, we have talked about the basics of digital storytelling, and we have talked about the basic steps, how to create a digital story. In case you have missed our first session, you can still watch it in American Center Tashkent YouTube channel. Later, I will share the link with you. So today, sorry. All right, and today is um, our following workshop, and today we'll be talking about outlining our ideas. So last time we have identified main ideas. Our topic area is the passport to the globe, which means language. Language is the key to the world. So how to motivate your learners to learn language with the help of digital story. So you can share your own experience of learning. You can motivate your students. So whatever goals you are targeting, using these goals and identifying your audience, you can create digital stories with us. So let's continue. Now, first of all, before you start outlining process, you need to identify your resources as well. So in digital stories, we will have to use lots of things like images, background music, narratives, and etc. So you have to clearly have an idea in mind what kind of tools you need to complete this project. So before starting outlining process, please try to think about what you would like to incorporate in your digital story. Do you need images? Do you need background music? Maybe you would like to add some special effects. Maybe you are targeting some kind of, let's say, um, tasks or whatever you have in mind. First of all, in the beginning of digital storytelling process, you have to make sure that you have all your resources at hand. So where to get images, where to download copyright-free music and other stuff, we have discussed in our previous workshops. If you need information, I will share the link with you so that you will be using this link. Okay, here we are having greetings from Arizona, United States. So we have an Indonesian participant, Farah, and she's joining us from Arizona. Great. Okay, so today we have a really huge audience from all over the world. Thank you, Mr. Bonusov, for inviting so many new participants to our project. You are really contributing to this project greatly. Okay, so identifying resources will be the next step to work on your digital story. Okay, so how do we outline the work in order to create a digital story? First of all, we will follow a clear timeline. So as you guys know, we are aiming to create a digital story within 1 month. So we have 4 weeks to do this task. That's why you have to make sure that you will manage all the steps in 4 weeks, because at the end of the month, we will be sharing our stories with each other, and then we will be finding out whose story was the best story of the month. Okay, so we get some more participants. Okay, if anyone wants to say hello or wants to introduce themselves, you are welcome to do so in the chat. At the end of the workshop, we will make sure that we will hear your voices, get to know you better. We say you welcome. Okay, so as I have told previous time, we follow 8 steps in order to create a digital story. First of all, we develop an idea. We did this step last time. We have identified our ideas. We have brainstormed and mind mapped our ideas to identify our key points. And then today we are going to take a look at the second step, which is planning. So before you start developing your digital story, you have to make sure that you have a clear plan so that you will follow this plan later and you will have clear deadline.
كشكول من عندك يا زيد كده.
Okay.
كشكول بسرعة. كشكول جديد. من الطرف اللي قدام.
Okay, so I will be muting all the participants because some of our participants have the microphone on, I think. All right, so next step will be outlining and scripting. Next step is storyboarding. After we have storyboards and we share with each other our storyboards, we can film and record our digital stories. Then final touches, we will publish and share, and then after sharing, we will evaluate our digital stories. So these are the basic steps we are intending to follow this month. And at the end of the month, I'm sure that all of you have a very beautiful digital story of your experience of learning a language. So let's get started. Now, today we mostly concentrate on outlining or scripting. The outline for a digital story is a key part of the process. Having a well thought out, written, or drawn outline helps reach goals related to time and purpose. If you plan to use an interviewer, for example, develop an outline together so that you and the interviewer are comfortable with the script and you can create the product that you wanted. So again, outline can be done as simply as on a piece of paper with a pen, or you can use software programs like Microsoft Office, Notes, or any other applications that you can take notes. So whatever you use, whatever is comfortable to you, the main aim here is to get all your main ideas and main things planned and thought out. So storytellers often seem that the most honest if they are able to speak off the cuff from an outline rather than reading word for word from notes. So when recording your narratives, you will be mostly taking a look at your outlines. So make sure that you include everything in your outlines. So what is this outline? Outline is basically the frame of your digital story. You want to set up your digital story to be engaging for people. In fact, the main goal for creating this digital story is to make people feel in your shoes, to make them feel as you feel, to make them follow your ideas. As a storyteller, it is helpful to give details for your story to help people understand your view. So here are certain things that you should keep in mind when framing your story. First of all, you have to make sure that there is something unique about your story, because on the internet these days there are lots of digital stories on almost every topic. So you have to make sure that your story stands out. Something makes your story unique. And then remember that you own your story. It means that it's important for you to be honest. The main goal of the story is to share your experience. So stay true to yourself. Make sure that you are telling the story from heart. And digital stories are only a few minutes long, so you should think about which details are most important to include in order to communicate your message. In the first part, when you are drafting your narratives, lots of ideas will come to your mind. You will have lots of ideas and you will get confused. You don't know which ideas to put into the story and which ideas you can cross out. Again, I give you the advice that I have been repeating from the beginning of our workshop. Please clearly type your main idea in one sentence. Put it near your computer and make sure that nothing enters your story that has no connection to this main sentence. So if you do just like this, then you will include only the most important details and your story will be very well thought out. Okay, so here you can see the frame of this sample story here in a yellow background. So it's actually a recovery story about a person named Sarah. I will later send it to our group so that you will read it and you can use it as a sample for creating your own story. So next one is writing and drawing exercises. Actually, most people have difficulties organizing their thoughts. You have to really make sure that you organize your outline in a way that is comfortable to you and that will make sense for your story. Writing and drawing exercise, like any kind of warm-up routine before playing a sport or a musical instrument, help loosen up your imagination while honing your writing muscles. So this kind of exercises can be done alone, or we can do it in small or large groups. In our cases, sometimes we discuss it in our Telegram group so that others will inspire you. This kind of exercise can be an easy way to help storytellers to think creatively, and you can find out new ways of telling the story. So there is a problem with writing at all. So whatever you write, it's fiction writing, it's narrative, essay, whatever you write, there will be times that you feel stuck. You feel like you have nothing to write about. So in this case, there are certain tips, certain exercises that should help you. For example, the first one is try to shift to one of the five senses. So write about the things you see, you hear, you smell, you touch, you taste. So when you start with your feelings, first of all, it will make sense to you. And second of all, it will just start up your story. Then you will feel like you are on the right path, and that, yeah, writer's block, it's called. So writing about your feelings or using your five senses can be one way to start. Then try to look at the things from close to far away, or from high to low, or vice versa. What does it mean? So if you're writing about a boy, try to imagine this boy in the, let's say, in a huge place. So start to start writing about not only the boy, about his surroundings maybe, and then you will get to the main point easily than just to write. Also, try to tell in the story from another person's point of view. We have already experienced this kind of writing exercise in our previous workshops. So some of you have used other person's stories and told it from your own point of view. So these stories were really successful because it helped you to identify their feelings, to feel what they felt at that moment, and then that story became even more alive. Also, before you start writing your narrative, try to answer to the questions like who, what, when, where, why, and how. So this month we are creating a digital story about the importance of learning languages. So while motivating the learners, we will share our own story of learning a language, what difficulties we have overcome, or what kind of steps we have taken. So before starting writing, you can simply answer to this WH question so that you will start writing. For example, who is this? So this is a story of a young student learning a language, if you learned the language as a student, or maybe when you were a child. So whatever it is. Then answer to the question what language is it and why you have chosen this language. Then answer to the question like when have you started it and what times did you study, and etc. So as you answer to these simple questions, you will already have ideas right in front of your eyes, and later you can improve these ideas and make a good story out of them. Also, you can draw out your ideas and use them to create a story. Of course, drawing is not everyone's piece of cake, right? So some of us really like drawing, but some of us have difficulties drawing. So if you are one of the kinds that you can express yourselves better when drawing, try to draw. So I have some students when I create digital stories with them, rather than writing a narrative, they start drawing right away. So they put all their ideas in the drawings. If drawing is easier for you, you can use drawing as a key to start outlining. Or you can create a scrapbook, you can organize photos, words, other materials. Or you can just basically select a photo and then you can write a story about it. So whatever type of exercise you choose to do, this exercise should help you to start writing. So the main goal of those exercises are you will start writing your narrative. So what is this narrative? Narrative is the big thing. It is actually the main part of digital story. It's the main idea you put into digital format. So before you start writing this great digital story narrative, make sure that your stories are truthful. Stories are powerful if they are honest and real. People can feel you if you are being fake. While you don't want your story to feel rehearsed, you should still plan it. You should carefully organize your story, but make sure that the story shows your voice and personality. A thoughtful and organized story allows a smooth delivery. It will also give your story a polished and truthful feeling. When your audience feels that your story is truthful, they will follow up on it. They will learn from it. Another thing about digital stories are strength. So your ideas, your words, your narrative, the way you organize the pictures, the whole story should be strong. In order for stories to have a positive impact on others, in order to create, let's say, emotions in the audience, storytellers should share their experience from a strong foundation. When you frame your story, you should honestly talk about your experience, but you should also focus on the strengths that have helped throughout your journey. In our case, that's the journey of learning a language. Then we have come to the part with the plot. All of us know that plot is the main frame of the story. So this is basically what happens in the story. Digital story, just like any other stories, it is still a story and it should be a narrative. So it should mostly concentrate around the creativity. Well, there is no single format for digital stories. You can just feel what's true for you and you can follow your feelings and you should come up with your own solutions. But there are still certain tips that will help you to organize your narrative correctly. First of all, stories with impact or strong stories have an attention getter early on. It's called hook, actually. So, in the beginning of the story, there is usually something very interesting that grabs the attention of the audience and makes them to watch the story till the end. So, this kind of attention getter early on draws people in. Maybe it can be a memory, it can be an emotion, or it can be even background music. Whatever it is, make sure that from the very first seconds of your story, you grab the audience attention. Then your story will be successful. Another tip is, well, you might choose to link your personal experience to something that is believed by a community. So it means that you can start a big idea, you can create a story about big idea, and then give give some example from your own personal experience. Then your story will become truthful and more interesting. Also, good digital stories include messages of hope or call to action. So, a call to action is an instruction to the audience that inspires response, such as call now, find out more, visit our website. Those kind of things are usually used in marketing digital stories. In our case, it should be motivation. So when someone watches your story, they should say, okay, I will continue, I will learn this language, I'm on the correct path. Or they should say, okay, she has done this, so I can do this as well. So the main thing here is you have to call them to action. And there are some great examples of, let's say, plot, Santa and coalition stories. Later, I will share the links to the stories in our group, and you can read them in your free time. And you can just learn from the stories because actually, the best thing to learn from is a successful story. I will send you the narratives of these successful stories. Read about them and try to build your narrative based on their frame. Okay, here you can see some call to action examples. For example, a Chinese proverb says, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. I hope you can take your first step and keep moving forward in your recovery journey. Something like that. Okay, when outlining or planning your digital story, make sure that you stick to the ideal length. The shorter is the story, the better. The ideal story should have 2 to 5 minutes long. For the purposes of this workshop, we usually create digital stories which are 2-3 minutes long. So you have to include no more than 20 images or video segments, and word count of your narrative should be between 250 and 375. So, which means that you should not write too much. Your narrative should not be very long. It should be precise but detailed. It should be clear to the point, and it should be strong. So this guideline can help you make sure that your story captures the important points and hold the attention of the audience. Viewers usually watch shorter stories till the end rather than long stories. So try to make it as short as 3 or 4 minutes, but no more. Okay, so before you start writing your narrative, try to practice your story. You can practice your story on your own. Try to firstly tell this story before writing it. So imagine that you are telling the story to someone who understands your journey. So try to practice this on your own, then you will discover that there are certain things that you would like to tell about and certain things that you don't want to tell about. So whatever it is, this kind of practice helps you to make your writing easy. And then you can practice with others. So a good story circle for you, our participants. So we have the participants group. Here you can send your ideas, your story in a short format as a draft. So others will tell their opinions. They will encourage you to continue. And this is going to be a really good reflection. So stories are for sharing. If you don't share your story, then the story hasn't served its purpose. That's why never feel shy to share your story. Okay, now we have basically finished with the instruction part. Now it's your turn. Please think about these questions till the next workshop. What is unique about your story of learning a language? So, second question is, what are the most important things, most important points to tell in just a few minutes? So, what ideas are really the main ones? And then, using this drawing exercises, try to draft your narrative. So your narrative is 250, 300 word story in a written form. So this story is the main part of your digital story. Everything you include in your digital story, like images, the music, pictures, whatever media you add to your story will be built around your narrative. So basically, narrative is the skeleton of your story. So make sure that you start writing right away. Try to write this story and never never feel like you have to create or you have to write a perfect story from the first try. So for the first time we write the draft, then we share it with each other, we give comments to each other's works, we reflect on our work, and step by step we will improve our narrative. And at the end, we will have this precise, clear, strong message that we will be using for creating digital story. So this is the task you have to follow up till our next workshop. And this is the sample outline for you so that you will know what to do. So make sure that your story has clear beginning, body, and end. In the beginning, you should grab audience attention, give some background information about the topic, highlight your experience, and you have to set the tone for the story. We will discuss the tone of the story later in our coming workshops. Then preview the main ideas, and you can now organize the body of your outline. In the body, you have to give information around your main points and include supporting material to your main points. At the end, you will summarize. Make sure that your end is strong. At the end of the digital story, try to use a strong closing statement to show that video is over. and make sure that you end in a great point. Now I will show you the story arc we use all the time for the digital storytelling narrative writing process. So our story is built around this part, that's exposition, which is the background information. Then here starts conflict. So something happens that creates a problem. Then we will have a rising action. So this is the sequence of events that happens as a result of the conflict. And then we will come up to the climax or resolution point, where we will have the most exciting part of the story. That's usually a turning point. So this is something that made you successful in learning a language, or it's the decision that you have taken. Whatever it is, make sure that you have a really strong idea for this climax part. After that, you will have following action. These are the events that happen after the climax, which lead to resolution. So resolution is basically a peek that how things have changed. So actually, this chart will help you a lot when you are writing your narrative. So when you are writing, try to picture it in your mind, and then you will have right organization for your story. Okay, that's the example story using this chart. So it's about a frog. So it's a really interesting story. Later, I will share this story with you in the group. I will send it to you so that you will have a chance to read this. You will have the chance to learn from the story. Well, basically, that's it for today. I hope that our workshop was useful for you. If you are willing to take some practical steps, you are welcome to start creating your digital story. So basically, write the narrative or text body of your story and send it to us. We will share it with others. We will reflect on this. We will give you comments. And actually, stories are for sharing. If you don't share it, then your story hasn't served its purpose. Please share your story in every point. Never feel shy that you don't have that much great story. Great stories are not born. Great stories are written step by step. They are developed. So we will help you to see your strong points, and we will help you to identify your key ideas. And based on this, later you will create digital stories. So yes, sharing is caring, as most of our participants are saying. Okay, so today we had really lots of new participants from all around the world. So can I please ask some of you guys that who have joined us later to introduce yourself? We have a few minutes to share. If you would like to share information about yourself, so you are welcome to do so now. Okay, is there anyone who would like to introduce themselves? Okay, so Mrs. Zibonusa, so most of our participants all over the world, they have got the invitation from you, I think. Can you please give us a little information about the new participants? So what makes them, what makes them like your circle? So what kind of experiences do you share together with them?
Maybe I could share. So with Ms. Lebanese, so we joined what we called Global Educators
Okay.
Resource Bank Project. So it is funded by the United States of the U.S. Department of State. So yeah, we've been what is it, having this meeting for 7 weeks, and this week will be this coming Sunday, and Tuesday will be our last meeting with the global educators. So there are around more than 200 educators from all over the world joining that program. So it was very rewarding, and that's how we met.
I see. Okay, great. So it was really great to see you guys. We are really happy to see you here. So thank you for making our workshop to increasing its scale actually. Well, it was a kind of local workshop and we have so many participants all around the world. So thank you for inviting the participants, and I will make sure that I will share the links. Also, you can see the previous workshops on the American Center Tashkent YouTube channel. So I'll make sure that everyone will get the links. Thank you again for joining us. We will be looking forward to meeting you in our coming workshops.